I don't get in too much trouble. I failed to post it fast enough this week. I forgot to give it to Jonathan, so I was reminded of this by Jenny. So she does still obviously listen to us pretty regularly. Okay, so we are starting Deuteronomy 21, chapter 21, verse 18. Okay. If any man has a stubborn and rebellious son who will not obey his father or his mother, and when they chastise him, he will not even listen to them, then the father and mother shall seize him and bring him out to the elders of his city at the gateway of his hometown. There they shall say to the elders of this city, "This son of ours is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey us, and he is a glutton and a drunkard. And all the men of the city shall stone him to death. You shall remove the evil from your midst, and all of Israel will hear of it and fear."
Wow.
Yeah, and the schools today won't let us spank kids, but we can take those out and stone them to death. Just trying to put things in perspective again, then, now, now parents are, you spanked the kid, we're going to call Child Protective Services on you. What the heck is up with that? So, just know that this is the way it was intended to be. So, keep that in mind.
I'm glad my parents I wouldn't be with y'all, probably.
Okay. And notice the whole reason between doing this is so that people hear about it and fear about it and they stop it. It's the whole concept of punishment. Something that I think we're still supposed to fear. We're still supposed to fear God. I mean, even in the New Testament, you're told, fear the one that can kill not only the body but the soul. So the idea is that we're supposed to be in fear, not that we don't have a loving God, but you're still supposed to fear God. You're still supposed to fear His rules and His laws. And today we don't, in a lot of ways, people don't have any deterrent from being evil. Why? Because we don't do anything. We don't punish people today. Not really. Okay. If a man has committed a sin worthy of death, and he is put to death, and you hang him on a tree, his corpse shall not hang all night on the tree, but you shall surely bury him on the same day, for he who is hanged is accursed of God, so that you do not defile the land which the Lord your God gives you as an inheritance. So in other words, it's bad if you leave them up there. They're basically being cursed by God or of God. So in other words, separated from God. Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering to myself what it says when they're hung on a pole.
Mm-hmm.
It says that they were impaled on a pole. Hung is one thing, but it.
Well, yeah. Well, I think that's where Vlad the Impaler. We like to think of as Vlad Dracula, but he was known as that. That's what he'd do to the armies. And he would hang it along the way where people would, try to attack or come into the city. And they'd see that. Most of them would stop, turn around, and leave. But here they're telling you, if you do this, don't leave them there. So that's mainly to stop from your land being defiled, the land that God's given them in this case. So, clarity. You shall not see your countryman's ox or his sheep straying away and pay no attention to them. You shall certainly bring them back to your countryman. If your countryman is not near you or you do not know him, then you shall bring it home to your house, and it shall remain with you until your countryman looks for it. Then you shall restore it to him. Now, the main thing here is when we're talking about your countrymen, they're talking about other members of the nation of Israel, right? So I want to be clear, because I think this sort of thing still applies. The only difference is now you're talking about your Christian brothers and sisters. And I think when you see something, today, I hate to say it, but we all know there are plenty of people that if they see, oh, hey, here's something just, wandering on the side of the road, I can just take that. Nobody's taking care of it at the moment. I'll just take it. Well, here they're making it very clear. You got to figure out whose it is and get it back to them. If it's a member of, your country, if it's a member of the nation of Israel, or for us, another Christian, you got to take care of them. You need to take care of each other. And I think that's exceedingly important because you're supposed to take care of others that are following Yahweh. And that's the intent. So,
Paul says you do that first.
Yeah, correct. And I think that's what's important. You've got to keep this in perspective. This is still how it should be. I just don't know that it is as much today. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do love the fact that out in the country, your neighbor's a whole lot more likely to help you than they are in the city. I hate to say it, but I've lived in both, and that's been my experience. But I think it's as Christians, we should always be willing to help each other. Thus you shall do with his donkey, and you shall do the same with his garment, and you shall do likewise with anything lost by your countrymen, which he has lost and you have found. You are not allowed to neglect them. In other words, it doesn't mean matter what it is. It's just the fact that you find something, you don't just assume, I found it, it's a good day for me. Well, get it back to the owner. Maybe it fell out of their wagon or whatever. I don't know. That's what'll happen then. You shall not see your countryman's donkey or his ox fallen down on the way, and pay no attention to them. You shall certainly help him to raise them up. Now that one, here's what I think. I've seen people, because again, I've lived in country, I've lived in subdivisions, and I've seen somebody get their lawnmower stuck in subdivision, right? In the ditch, they went too far. And they're down there working, and nobody comes over and helps them. I've gone over to help them.
Your dad got stuck, and somebody came in.
But see, that's the way it should be. You should help each other. And I think that's just a good example because I've seen that happen before, and I've tried to help somebody out. But, that's what you're supposed to do. Now, this one's pertinent to today. A woman shall not wear man's clothing, nor shall a man put on woman's clothing. For whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord your God. I don't remember anything in the New Testament that contradicts that. I don't remember Christ saying anything about, that's okay now. I'm just reading what's there, but it's going to take a lot of people off in this world if they were told that. And people seem to think that's a great thing. I mean, I don't understand that. I don't understand why people want to do that. But, I don't think it gets much more straightforward than it does right there. If you happen to come upon a bird's nest along the way, in any tree or on the ground, with young ones or eggs, and the mother sitting on the young or on the eggs, you shall not take the mother with the young. You shall certainly let the mother go, but the young you may take for yourself, in order that it may be well with you, and that you may prolong your days. Yeah, sounds weird, right? Kind of wonder, why is this? Okay. The babies can't survive without the mother. So if you take the mother, you've killed the babies. But if you kill the babies, the mother can go have other children again, have other young. That's what this is about. It's that you just take the mother, you leave the young to die. They can't take care of themselves yet. That's why she's still on the eggs or still on the whatever. But you can take the young because you're not killing them all, basically. So there is some logic behind it, even though it sounds weird. At least there's a reason for it. When you build a new house, you shall make a parapet for your roof so that you will not bring blood guilt on your house if anyone falls from it. Okay, everybody knows what that is, right? You've all gone up and built your parapet, right? You're all good to go. Okay, keep in mind, most of their houses have flat roofs, so you go up there. If there wasn't railing around the edge, and that's what this is, it's railing, basically. If you don't do that, then you're liable if somebody falls off. Same thing today. If you have a deck that's 6 feet, 8 feet off the ground, which some people have, watched a renovation show yesterday. Someone had it on the third story of this house because they were doing it, dividing it off into, separate living areas. Third story, yeah, awesome view, nice deck. But if you didn't put railing up there, somebody falls off, you're in trouble. If you have it 2 inches short and they fall off, and it's not made to code, you got a problem today, right? I mean, that's reality of it. So it's a simple rule, and it's still in effect. That's why we have rules for how you build things. You shall not sow your vineyard with 2 kinds of seeds, or all the produce of the seed which you have sown, and the increase of the vineyard will become defiled. Now, I got to touch on that for a minute. What happens when you put 2 kinds? This obviously they're talking about grapes, I think, just vineyard. So if you put 2 kinds of seeds in there, what happens? Well, over time they're going to mix. Because of pollination with the bees, you're going to end up with a hybrid, something different from what God made, right? So what do we plant in the fields today? Only things that are man-made. We're not even hybrids from that standpoint. They're genetically modified, GMOs, right? They're not anything that God provided us. There's something.
You can still buy heirloom seeds.
Today, but they're trying to prevent that.
No.
They want to prevent it because that means that, well, one, all the big manufacturers aren't in control of food supply. Secondly, you can create your own and reuse the seeds forever, so you don't have to buy from them. Third, they're afraid that if you did that, then any disease that gets in yours might eventually get into their GMO stuff. That's their legal answer to that. But I just thought it was interesting because this is completely opposite of what we do today, right? I mean, you shall not plow with an ox and a donkey together. All right, so why don't you want to do that? Just think about it logically. Are they both the same kind of animal? They're both going to pull the same way? No, so you're going to work one of them harder than the other, aren't you? Because you have to, if you want to go in a straight line anyway. If you want circles, maybe that would work. But if you want to go in a straight line, I'm pretty sure you need to use 2 of the same thing. You shall not wear a material mixed of wool and linen together. For that one, I've got nothing. I looked it up. It's another one of those because God said so. You shall not wear a material mixed of wool and linen together. You shall make yourself tassels on the 4 corners of your garment with which you cover yourself. Now, we've talked about this one before. Do you remember why? Everything, a lot of the stuff, I won't say everything, but a lot of the stuff that goes on here that he's talking about is to make the Israelites different from the nations around them. So they didn't resemble. So they did look different. They were to act different. They were to look different. When they saw them, they were supposed to know, hey, this is an Israelite. That was part of the distinctiveness. Now, we're also told in other ways that it's also they were to see the tassels and remind them of Yahweh and that they were His people. That's fine, but it's the same thing, right? It's distinctiveness. That's the purpose behind it. I don't see any of us with tassels, and I'm really glad because I don't think I want tassels. If any man takes a wife and goes into her and then turns against her and charges her with shameful deeds and publicly defiles her and says, I took this woman, but when I came near her, I did not find her to be a virgin. Then the girl's father and her mother shall take and bring out the evidence of the girl's virginity to the elders of the city at the gate. Okay. The girl's father shall say to the elder, I gave my daughter to this man for a wife, but he turned against her. And behold, he has charged her with shameful deeds, saying, I did not find your daughter a virgin. But this is the evidence of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the garment before the elders of the city. So the elders of the city shall take the man and chastise him, and they shall fine him 100 shekels of silver and give it to the girl's father, because he publicly defamed a virgin of Israel. And she shall remain his wife. He cannot divorce her all his days. Now, we're going to I'm going to stand, and we're going to talk about a lot of virginity and adultery for the next little bit here, for the rest of this chapter anyway. And the reason is this was very important to God. This was very important that everybody refrain from sexual activity until marriage. And I believe there's several reasons for that, but part of it was lineage, parentage, knowing it's not like, well, I'm going to go get a DNA test. That doesn't exist. So there are a lot of concerns. I mean, look at Mary and Joseph. Joseph was ready to divorce Mary. Why? Well, he found she was pregnant. So he was going to be polite about it. He wasn't going this route where, hey, we're going to, which we'll get to in a minute about stoning them. But the point is, it's always been a concern because now you don't know whose this is, and you're like, hey, not my kid. I don't want to take care of somebody's kid that's not mine. So that's something that was very important because you had to know who you were raising. And that was something that was an issue at the time. It still seems to be an issue today. Okay. But if this charge is true and the girl was not found a virgin, then they shall bring out the girl to the doorway of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her to death because she had committed an act of folly in Israel by playing the harlot in her father's house. Thus you shall purge the evil from among you. Now notice where they're taking him. For the guy who's charged on this, or said she wasn't a virgin, they're taking him to the city gates. Why? The city gates are going to be one of the most trafficked places, okay, for people coming in and out, because they want everybody to see what's going on. Here, if the girl is fooled around and isn't a virgin, you're taking her to her father's house and say, you didn't raise this one right. Let this be an example to everyone. Why? Because all these things were to be examples to other people to make sure they knew, do not do this. That was the whole purpose of this stuff. Because it's harsh penalties, but it's to make sure people remember it and don't repeat it. If a man is found lying with a married woman, then both of them shall die, the man who lay with the woman and the woman. Thus you shall purge the evil from Israel. If there is a girl who is a virgin engaged to a man, and another man finds her in the city and lies with her, then you shall bring out them both to the gate of the city, and you shall stone them to death. The girl, because she did not cry out in the city, and the man, because he has violated his neighbor's wife. Thus you shall purge the evil from among you. Now, notice to say your neighbor's wife, even though he said they're basically just engaged, because they took that seriously as the same thing. It's one of those, the marriage just hasn't happened yet.
Things really changed after Jesus was born. He said, be without sin.
Yeah.
Cast the first stone.
Yeah. He changed the rules. But these were the rules at the time. And today, unfortunately, people don't seem to think much of sex at all. It's just, it's whatever. Just go out with whomever, whenever.
Of course, nowadays everything hinges on lawsuits and whatever. But some of you may recall, it was about 10 years ago in Oklahoma City, the Church of Christ elders decided to bring this lady up front and chastise her, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? She owns the church.
Yeah. And today that's how it works, because lawyers. I mean, that's the reality of it. It's bad, in my opinion, but I don't know that what they did was right, because Christ was, again, you're the one without guilt, you throw the first stone. The one without sin, throw that first stone. And that's not happening. But at the same time, that still doesn't mean they're allowed to do it. I mean, you know, woman at the well, what does Christ tell her? If she's been married or been married 3 times and with somebody else, at the point, it says, go and sin no more. It's still sin, sorry.
It makes me think of King David, though, looking out at Bathsheba.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Send the husband out and get him killed. We go to Solomon. Oh, I'll just marry them all. Different approach, but same concept. I mean, okay.
If the church didn't take sinners, they'd all be empty with them.
Yeah. Well, this is where you need to be if you're a sinner, you know? That's just the reality of things. The thing is, trying to atone for it, you can't, but you can make the effort and you can still follow Christ.
They say that only the people Jesus uses is imperfect people.
Yeah.
Because that's all he's got.
Yeah. It's not like it's a choice. But if in the field the man finds the girl who is engaged, and the man forces her and lies with her, then only the man who lies with her shall die. But you shall do nothing to the girl. But there is no sin in the girl worthy of death. For just as a man rises against his neighbor and murders him, so is this case. So again, the rules are only the guilty get punished. That's it. It's justice. She didn't do anything wrong. Leave her be. When he found her in the field, the engaged girl cried out, but there was no one to save her. If a man finds a girl who is a virgin, who is not engaged, and seizes her and lies with her, and they are discovered, then the man who lay with her shall give to the girl's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall become his wife because he has violated her. He cannot divorce her all his days. I think that part, it's twice now they talk about divorce already, right? Saying, okay, if you did this, if they did this, they cannot divorce them. You're stuck. Well, this was an issue. The men were always trying to find some reason to go, well, you know, she's doing this or she's doing that, and therefore I don't want her. She's not good enough anymore. And that was being allowed. But they're giving exact examples of, under this circumstances, no, this is just not happening. You're stuck together forever.
Okay, another thing that bothers me. Okay, this poor woman gets raped.
Yep.
Father gets the money.
Yep. Father gets the money, and she,
That bride price and all
yeah,
that.
and she has to stay with him
Yeah,
forever.
yeah.
Yeah.
True love.
You know, throughout the Old Testament, it's the women are hosed. Let's just be honest. But that's the way the rules work. I don't know what else to say there. A man shall not take his father's wife so that he will not uncover his father's skirt. Make perfect sense to everybody, right? Yeah, I had to read that one a couple times and make sure I was right. Okay, basically, you should not fool around with your father's wife. Uncovering his skirt, meaning you were raising the lady, the wife's skirt. That's property of his father. You know, two are supposed to be married. They're supposed to be together. So the idea being, that's his wife. You don't touch it. It's his wife, her clothes, her skirt is his skirt. That's what they're talking about. Because, no, the father's not wearing a skirt. They're just saying...
The father's wife. Well, in some cases, wouldn't that be his mother?
Wouldn't it be what?
His mother.
Could be. Could be he had multiple wives, too.
Yeah, well.
I mean, you know, come on. Today, how often we all know this happens, especially with billionaires, it seems. How often you have these people that have, you know, they're 60, 70 years old, they're married to a 30-year-old, 20-year-old. So I can see where the son is going, hey, Dad's 60, I'm 30, she looks good. It's not right. I'm just saying, I'm trying to explain your example. Why would they do that? Well, it may not be their mother, and it may be the who knows what marriage. I mean, I'm sure Rupert Murdoch is always married for love. I'm sure that Anna Nicole Smith, what was the rich oil tycoon she married? Oh, I'm sure at 90-something, yeah, he was marrying for love. He was marrying for the short term, and she was looking for get rich quick. Didn't work out for either of them. But it's just the point that this has always happened. This has been going on throughout history, so it's nothing new out there.
Well, she was speaking King David. He had that situation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's throughout the Bible. It's throughout our regular history. this is the way things are. It's terrible sometimes, but we have the rules that tell us don't do it, but that doesn't mean people listen. Okay. No one who is emasculated or has his male organ cut off shall enter the assembly of the Lord. No one of illegitimate birth shall enter the assembly of the Lord. None of his descendants, even to the 10th generation, shall enter the assembly of the Lord. I don't understand that one. I don't know what the person necessarily did wrong, other than they can't go in because God said so. But what did they do? I don't know. I mean, if you're born as an illegitimate child, is that your fault?
They had no control over that.
I agree. But this is another one of those where my answer is because God said so. Not even to the 10th generation. Now, again, a lot of the ideas, back to penalties, they don't want this to happen. I mean, we spent all this time talking about importance of virginity, importance of only being with one person. And now this person, you don't know where this person came from. You don't know who the father is. Only the mother knows. And in some cases, the mother doesn't know. I've seen some of these court shows, oh, he's the father. He needs to pay. They do a paternity test and go, he's not the father. Well, who is it then, woman? Well, it could be 3 or 4 guys. I don't know. I'm like, God is making it clear here through Moses that that's not supposed to happen. Okay? It's supposed to be clear. Paternity. And oddly enough, I've seen some things on today on some groups that are trying to make it mandatory to have a paternity test at birth because they believe that there are so many people that are being forced into paying for kids that aren't theirs. So there are some groups trying to push that right now. So just again, how things are today, it's still an issue of paternity. Anyway, so I can't explain that section other than because God said so, and they're going out to 10 generations. It's a long time. No Amorite or Moabite shall enter the temple of the Lord. None of their descendants, even to the 10th generation, shall enter the assembly of the Lord, because they did not meet you with food and water on the way when you came out of Egypt, and because they hired against you Balaam, the son of Beor, from Pethor of Mesopotamia, to curse you. Nevertheless, the Lord your God was not willing to listen to Balaam, but the Lord your God turned the curse into a blessing for you, and because the Lord loves you. Now, I think that whole section is really telling, because I think God was just really ticked that they treated them that way, that they were trying to curse them, and they weren't going to do anything to them at that point. They might have, but we're not aware of that. They were just passing through, or wanting to pass through anyway. But the Lord is really upset with them because they left them out there in the wilderness. They could have offered them food and water on their way, as he said. Going against God's people doesn't go well in the Old Testament. It might temporarily, but eventually, if you've already read the Old Testament, eventually they rise up pretty much every time. Or at least a section of them do, let's put it that way. You shall never seek their peace or their prosperity all your days. You shall not detest an Edomite, for he is your brother. You shall not detest an Egyptian, because you were an alien in his land. Now, the Edomite, I understand very clearly, because they were relatives, yeah, exactly. So they are of this line that we've talked through. They're just an older part of that generation, or of that clan, but they're still part of theirs. But the Egyptian, you shall not detest an Egyptian, because you are an alien in his land. The sons of the 3rd generation who are born to them may enter the assembly of the Lord. Basically saying, look, let that generation and the memories die out, and you can accept them. You shouldn't hate them. And think about it, it's true. They were originally there as guests, right? I mean, Joseph is the one that brought them in. The issue was they were prosperous, and they multiplied a lot, enough so that the Egyptians got scared. That's what got them into slavery in the first place. But the point is, they were there as guests. They were there as aliens. So, yeah, this was relevant to remember that they did show them kindness initially. I mean, think about it. Joseph brought them there and what? Gave them food and gave them land during a famine. So I think there's logic, and I think this is when, again, I like Yahweh. He has rationale for doing what he does. Sometimes I don't get it, but a lot of times I do. It's just not always. When you go out as an army against your enemies, you shall keep yourself from every evil thing. If there is among you any man who is unclean because of a nocturnal emission, then he must go outside the camp. He may not re-enter the camp. But it shall be when when evening approaches, he shall bathe himself with water, and at sundown he may re-enter the camp. You shall also have a place outside the camp, and go out there, and you shall have a spade among your tools. And it shall be when you sit down outside, you shall dig with it, and shall turn to cover up your excrement, since the Lord your God walks in the midst of your camp to deliver you and to defeat your enemies before you. Therefore your camp must be holy, and he must not see anything indecent among you, or he will turn away from you. Well, 11,000 people. Again, I got to start with the logic stuff. You got 12,000 people out there, right? 1,000 from each tribe. It's going to be going out. And that's going to be a large encampment. I hope I'm not in the middle when I have to go. I'm sorry, I'm just being realistic. Because you see somebody running with a spade, well, stay out of his way. That's all I can tell you. Logic comes in here somewhere, and I have to have the 10-year-old brain that goes, whoa, okay. Yeah, I got to go with the weird things, okay? It's just part of me. It's how my brain works. Talk to her about it. I don't know. You shall not hand over to the master a slave who has escaped from his master to you. He shall live with you in your midst, in the place which he shall choose, in one of your towns, where it pleases him. You shall not mistreat him. So, different message here from what you get in the New Testament. Paul tells a slave, you need to go back to your master. You ran away. Here, it's just the opposite, right? Here, hey, if he escapes from his master, he's going to stay with you, and you're not to mistreat him. Different approach. And we, as a country, have had different rules over the years, and so have several others. Other countries, as far as with slavery. There are all kinds of different ways that's viewed and how you do or don't return a slave.
Donna's an expert in that area.
Did you take in the runaways, or did you chase them down?
Now, really and truly, her great-grandfather was killed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was sitting on the porch, and his slave wasn't one of his slaves, but he was escaping,
Mm-hmm.
and he saw my grandfather sitting on the porch, and he figured he'd chase him,
Mm-hmm.
kill him.
I can see that, but
He did have slaves, but he was evidently missing one.
well, that's the thing. You never know who is a master good or is a master evil. I don't know. None of the daughters of Israel shall be a cult prostitute, nor shall any of the sons of Israel be a cult prostitute. Okay, so cult prostitute. Can't you just say prostitute and be done with it? Except that there were other nations around them that, as part of their justification for prostitution, they made it, by having these cult prostitutes, therefore use during our worship of whatever God. So that's how they tried to make it okay, right? I mean, what happens today? There are so-called Christian churches that try to make homosexuality okay, right? They say, well, it's okay. See, we've got an ordained priestess over here, and that's okay. And she's marrying men and marrying women to women, and devil's trying to get that into church. Satan's doing his best, man, and unfortunately, he's succeeding. You shall not bring the hire of a harlot or the wages of a dog into the house of the Lord your God for any votive offering. For both of these are an abomination to the Lord your God. And some of you have different wording there instead of dog, and basically it's referring to the woman as a whore or bitch, for lack of a better word, which is why they're saying dog. So just trying to clarify what they're trying to get at there. You shall not charge interest to your countrymen, interest on money, food, or anything that has been loaned at interest. Interesting. Think about how society would work today, how the financial markets would crumble. How many people would decide, you know what, I'm ready to be a Christian. Why? Because I need that home loan and I need it at nothing. Well, let's be honest. We talk about an incentive. We got an incentive right there.
The Shakers had what they called the winter shakers, because when the people came to the cold weather and they didn't have enough food for winter, all of a sudden they were a shaker. And then
Right.
the first nice spring day, they were gone.
Yeah. Yeah, because Shakers were sharing everything. If you don't know their history, they would share all their food. They were communal, basically. And so, a lot of people would take advantage of that. You may charge interest to a foreigner, but to your countrymen you shall not charge interest, so that the Lord your God may bless you in all that you undertake in the land which you are about to enter to possess. When you make a vow to the Lord your God, you shall not delay to pay it, for it would be a sin in you, and the Lord your God would surely require it of you. However, if you refrain from vowing, it would not be sin in you. Basically, a lot of people, and I want to bring it up to date, is we've all been there. Let's think back to school and that pop quiz or that test you didn't exactly study for. Lord, if you will just get me out of this, let me pass this test, I'll do whatever you want. Oh, it's a bad thing to say, because now you just made a vow to the Lord and you need to follow up. And that's why I said, however, if you refrain from vowing, it would not be sin in you. So a lot wiser not to. You're not told you have to make vows. But if you do, you better follow through. You shall be careful to perform what goes out from your lips, just as you have voluntarily vowed to the Lord your God what you have promised. Sounds fair enough, right? I mean, watch what you say. Your words do impact people and what they think of you. And as Christians, don't you want people to have the right impression of you? But if you say the wrong thing, you're not going to be successful in that. And what do they say about first impressions? Yeah, exactly. When you enter your neighbor's vineyard, then you may eat grapes until you are fully satisfied, but you shall not put any in your basket. The idea being that you could go there and get food, but you're going to help yourself while you're there walking through his vineyard, but then the second you walk out, you're not taking anything with you. You don't take what's his. Yeah, you're eating. Well, I was walking through a field. I've been going for a few miles. I come up on this vineyard. It's hot. I mean, if you all were out yesterday, you know what I mean. I was working some outside and about to sweat to death, felt like. So you're out there, you walk along, man, I could really use just a handful of grapes or something. Fine, but you don't load up your pockets and walk on. He's kind to let you have something for nothing, but don't take what's his. Don't take it with you. When you enter your neighbor's standing grain, there you may pluck the heads with your hand, but you shall not wield a sickle in your neighbor's standing grain. Yeah, don't take what's your neighbor's. I've heard of people that have, planned part of their retirement off of timber on land that they own. And they go back, because they don't need to be there for 20 years, 30 years to harvest it. And what happens? They come back, see a nice, cleanly cut field and a whole bunch of stumps. Well, neighbor thought, you know what? He hasn't been back in 20 years. It's harvesting time. Well, I just saw them. Nobody was using them. I don't care. You just stole from your neighbor. And that's what this is going towards. It's like, it's okay. You were hungry. You were walking through the field, grabbed some wheat. Yep, okay, fine, no problem. But you don't load up your pockets and take it with you. Harvesting that timber, that's taking it with you. So,
You know what they say? Some people would never rob anybody on this earth, but yet we rob God.
oh yeah.
I'd rather rob somebody here than say you robbed me, you never gave me the thing.
Yeah, all true, and that's the way. Yeah, but that's the way this world works. Unfortunately, people do that all the time, and it's frustrating. I mean, look at our church. We're lucky we live off of trust, because we don't live off tithes, do we?
Well, like I said, y'all better be grateful that Priscilla and I were very nice to Miss Voss growing up. She grew up here. If we'd been ugly to her, we wouldn't have got that.
Well, so now you're claiming it's your trust, huh? But yeah, I mean, it's again, why it matters how you treat people. We've been treated well. We've been provided for. But if we weren't, we would be in really bad shape. Why? We don't collect enough money to pay for what we have. So you have to think about that.
But tithing is such a pleasure. God tells us a lot of things, but there are very few other than like the Ten Commandments, where He specifically says, do this, to give 10% of your income.
Mm-hmm.
And your dad and I always did that, even when a couple times it was $10.
Yeah, well, sometimes it is.
And I had an uncle one time who said he didn't tithe because he made too much money. I mean,
What?
excuse me?
Thought it would be the opposite. I don't make enough to tithe. There's nothing there.
And his dad.
Okay. Yeah, it just, some of that stuff is weird. Yeah, I don't get that, but I'm not in that position.
If you give him a tenth of it, the 90% will go a whole lot further.
Yeah,
Yes.
I do believe that. Yeah,
Ain't that real God?
yeah. It's just, I mean, it's difficult for all of us sometimes, but, life changes, jobs change, but that doesn't change the requirements. It just changes the amount on the check. But still needs to be done. Okay, so I think we're at a reasonable place to stop, so I'm going to go ahead and do that.